Okay, we thought we'd start by examining the title of the unit, History of Text Transmission, and I suppose we'll take those words as they appear. So history is perhaps the most self-explanatory. We'll be looking at texts in their historical context, but also examining how those texts develop through history, which I suppose then leads us to the word text, which I've already touched on a little bit. And I suppose the thing here is to see text as having a few expressions. One, when we say text, we might be referring to the oral tradition, spoken word, storytelling, which we'll be looking at particularly with the Iliad. But then, as the unit develops, the word text will develop too, and go on to mean films, potentially comic books, even music, and of course texts that are written down. Okay, so we've done history, we've done text, and now perhaps the most interesting word in the unit title is transmission. Any thoughts on the word transmission?
Well, I guess it's about how the story changes based on the medium in which is being used to transmit the text to the reader. So Watchmen is a classic example. In the comic book, it uses set frames, and it has notoriously failed to translate into film. And it's because the meanings that are communicated through the comic book are limited or described by the medium, and the same with film. You can't just assume that one is just a straight copy of the other. Decisions are made by the author, by the editor. So it's about how the text is transmitted in terms of the medium, and what meanings then shift. So it's then what is transmitted to the reader or the audience. So it's how it's transmitted affecting what is transmitted to the reader. And of course, in the between those two things, you've got the moment of transmission and transition, and that's where the author, I think, is doing the work.
Okay, so we've got that sort of dual meaning of the word transmission, which is how the text is being transmitted. Is it film? Is it a spoken story? And also, what is being transmitted? What is the meaning, the content of this story? And how is the content of this story changing over time? And how does the medium affect the content? I mean, that all sounds very involved, but I suppose don't worry too much. Transmission might seem like a daunting word, but don't be daunted by it. Think about it in terms of what the medium is and what the content of the medium is.
Just having some simple and clear examples of actual texts and how the meanings have shifted in different medium or media will make, I think, that academic description quite clear. So if you look at Grimm's fairy tale of Snow White, it's got very dark sexual types of social meaning, and then when you look at the Disneyfication of that text, all the social values have shifted. The film transmits much different meanings, much different values, just a completely different tale, really. And yet, lazily, we like to think of it as just the same fixed text, but I think crucially the understanding is that the text is not fixed, and it shifts through history and time based on the dominant social values that we are looking to communicate or learn.